of these little apps. Unless you guys want to talk about something different.
No, if you wanted to start trying a menu bar app, that would be, I would be interested in following you through it.
Yeah, me too.
So one of the things that RubyMotion provides is well, lots of different templates. So you can do motion. Let's see a little bit. Let's see what's going on. Motion, if we type motion create, we can see what kind of template we get out of the box. Get Android template, a gem if you're building a Ruby gem, all sorts of different app or all sorts of different iOS extensions or frameworks. I must have Joybox installed, so I get some Joybox templates. Flow, motion, game. There's one called OSX. And if we generate an OSX app, so we create, name it like OSX default and say template that equals OSX. And we'll get it'll generate a file structure, which I've already done. It looks like this. Like a typical RubyMotion app where there's an app directory and if we open up that template, you see it doesn't give us very much. We can see that we have an app delegate. The application did finish launching. Menu and builds a window, and can run the app. You can see basically just launches the window. And bundle exec break. And you see it launched as a window. And at the top here, there are a bunch of menu options. All these menu options is basically the entire app that is generated. The window here is to initialize it with size and put in the front. The menu part here, all these different menu options. And what we want to build is a little bit different. We don't want a window, and we only want a menu. So to generate this menu, we're going to the first thing to change
There is one other thing I think that gets set in your application plist for a menu-only application, which is part of the template. And I think he talks about that in his blog post.
One thing that,
there we go.
line here. So that in our rake file, we've got this here that we had this exchange for next step, and then OSX. Everything basically starts with NS. Everything in iOS starts with, well, some of it starts with NS, I think, but the rest of it starts with UI. UI element to 1, or it's also assume it's true. That. And compile the app again.
I'm not sure. Yeah, you have to remove the window because it will create the window anyways. If you didn't want the window to pop up, you'd have to remove the step in the app delegate that builds the window.
Right. Won't build a window. Build a menu right now. We just want to see. Our app has been running, but we can't even see anything because we didn't open a window. We didn't do anything with the menu bar.
Yeah.
Now we can. Go see what happens. Probably need to adjust it. I'll set it. Status, the menu that we get from. So let's see, we get an S status bar, system status bar. We assign that to a status bar variable. And then we say status bar dot status item with length. As variable status item with length. So dot retain. I'm guessing that line is not necessary anymore. Example.
Yeah, I'm betting retain is not useful because you have an instance variable there, so that should just be retaining automatically.
Title menu bar app. Now we actually see that this building. Now we have a menu bar app over here. Hello and quit. True, I'm not exactly sure what that does, but it probably just highlights the and sets the menu for this status bar. With interesting as in its title.
Yes, that's the title that appears in your for the status bar, and then he does it creates like an NS menu, and then he adds the menu items below it. And that the first one, if you went back to the code that you copied that from, it's invoking that say hello action, which actually pops up an alert window. So if you go down below, you see it's creating an alert that pops up, and then
as well. Finish this out so we can see.
Notice that before that, hello was on a breakout.
Probably was. That selector wasn't valid, so just ignore it.
I think it worked. So. Surprising.
Title is necessary in both places. Commented out this line up here that sets the.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing that the next one, the init title is the title comes up highlighted.
Yeah, that's the title that appears in the menu bar. You can also create menu bars that show icons. And you can combine them. So if you look at the, you'd have to go to the documents and look up NS status bar and see all the things that you can set on it, right? The status item with length, NS variable status item length, what that's saying is that the length can change based on the text that's in there, or if you have additional tags and so forth like that. So for instance, the date that appears on the status bar, is changing based on whether it says, Wednesday or Thursday, because the text comes up with different, yeah.
Seriously, man, you don't use Dash app? How can you live without it?
We talked about this last time. I use Dash in my, for some reason I don't anymore.
He said he had it on his old computer, and then he didn't install it when he moved to a new system, and it's like I couldn't imagine living without it. Now I don't tie it into my editor, but I have it tied into Alfred, and I just whatever I'm looking for, it goes in Alfred, then pumps me over to Dash, and I have all these tabs open in Dash. It just seems so much better.
Oh, interesting. When I navigate away from the app, the goes away, navigate back to the terminal here, and now it's running.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
There's a lot of space here, but
not enough.
maybe it's because it goes all the way over.
Oh, is it the length of the title that's making it disappear?
Yeah, give it a way smaller title, and then
Yeah.
it'll probably appear.
So now we've got
Another useful utility, bartender.
what does bartender do?
Bartender will take some of the status bar, the menu bar items, and then we'll put it under a sub menu.
Oh,
So
yeah, I think
certain things that you don't want up there all the time, but are good to access. Such as Time Machine, and there's a bunch of others. And so one of the things that it does is, for instance, it'll only put things up on the menu bar when they're actually running. So for instance, if Time Machine runs, then the icon appears in the menu bar, and then when it's done, it disappears again, which is really handy. There's your modal.
So option for no. Where did the NS menu title go?
This one down here,
Yeah.
NS menu, init with title. This, maybe if it was being used as a standalone thing.
Oh, you might be right. Salem.
The text comes from down here. We actually set up between desktop development and mobile development is that you have all these menus. But you still have the same launching of the application. Application did finish launching. Finishes in Windows. Alerts to the screen. So if this title is necessary. We got that example running. Another example that I thought would be fun to with was should mention this library that I came across that is supposed to help simplify creating menus. That menu code that we saw first example. You can use this library called RubyMotion.
I looked at RubyMotion, and in all honesty, what's the one that I found to be about the best was Motion Kit has a menu creation for OS X in it. Now, of course, Motion Kit gives you a bunch of other things as well. But one of the things, of course, I like about Motion Kit is it's both UI and app kit.
Cross-platform, works for iOS and Mac.
Well, there's some differences, but you use essentially the same DSL when you're working with both, which is very declarative. Now it's not a slightly different tack than RedPotion or RMQ, which is more looking at like CSS and CSS selectors, whereas Motion Kit tends to be simply declarative.
Yes, this is a lot than having to do items, title, and the action, and add the item to the menu.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course you could, simply build your own thing did it for you if you really wanted to. The motion pop-up will pop up. I looked at it. I haven't used it yet. But
Yeah,
it,
so
I think it makes that menu pop up. It's a lot fancier in that it styles it and stuff like that.
instead of having like a
simple text list kind of drop down thing, it looks
the menu like
Yeah.
this, you have something that's a little bit more stylized.
like
Basically,
that. Yeah.
customized. So to get started with this one, we need to open up our gem file. And the motion pop-up bundle. And now pop-up. Go back in our up delegate. I think that we want to set our menu to our pop-up instead of.
I'm trying to remember. Elliot, because he wrote motion pop-up, actually covers it in his book. I'm not sure if he has. I think he has a blog post about it.
Have a look at that.
That is the common. Yes.
I'm glad there's at least somebody out there who took longer to write their book than I did.
Laurie, there's quite a few people. If you're looking for proofreaders for your next edition, my hand is up.
Okay, I'll let you know when it's ready.
Because then it works like early access, right?
That reminds me of a plug I wanted to make.
Yes, Andrew. Let everyone know about your stuff and make sure that it's public so that.
.tv is a project that I'm working on. We replace some screencasts and other tutorials and resources. Still a work in progress, but if you want to count, so be notified when new stuff is added. Our meetup videos on here. But other screencasts I've been working on will go on here too. And also I'm considering platform for other people to post their own screen tutorials if they want to.
That's two.
And we've got our hi.
Make sure you post that on the Slack, Andrew, and post it to the RubyMotion community board too. I'll remind you if you don't.
I added screencasts a long time ago. I don't think it's been in the last couple of years.
Or there have been a couple over the years. There was Motion and Motion.tv.
Right.
Right now you get a
It's gone.
certificate warning. But there's still a lot of great videos.
Oh, gee, the last time I went there, the domain was gone. He must have re-upped it.
Yeah, he hasn't posted anything in, when was it? That was the last one, 2015. So it's almost 2 years now.
Yeah. Still a lot of good content there, though.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I have a local cache of it all.
Me too.
I feel okay because I was a paid subscriber for a year after he stopped posting videos. So.
Oh, I thought I was the only one.
No, there was probably a few of us. He also was working on a book, Lori, that didn't materialize.
Yeah.
Longer.
Yeah. So, for some reason this pop-up's not showing up.
I don't.
So,
Nope. There it is. Well, there's the hi any part anyway.
yeah, so now I moved it into our hello action here. If I click on this, nothing happens. So I expected to see or something pop up.
Hmm.
Okay, that's the background panel.
Oh, there's the part that you missed. Toggle.
Yeah, you have to set an action,
Aha.
set the target, and then set an action, and then I guess when you click on it, that it should show up, right?
So
That would
we-
replace the other menu bar, like,
That, yeah, that replaced the whole thing.
yeah.
Well, except for the title, maybe. You still need the window part.
start by setting up a window, but this window isn't visible yet. We add a NS status bar, system status bar, status item blank, and then it at the end. But I don't think we need that because we're doing the same thing we are down here. Target of the window, so this is what we'll get triggered when we trigger our action here. Toggle. So then the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, don't forget the setting the title, or else I'm not sure what it will, if it will show up at all.
Right.
That status item, yeah. Repeating what Lori said.
All right, hi. Hey.
There you go. That looks not too bad.
Styling around sites.
So I gave it an initial size of 300 width and 400 height. Just fine now. I need to put something in it.
So what you need to do from what I got is you're going to need to add views to it.
Yep. So this could potentially be a time to try out white potion. Okay. Read the gems yet, so we'll pull this gem from window. Version 0.0.4 also include a bunch of other gems. And something pretty simple that we can see.
So that's a promotion window screen. Do you have views underneath that?
There's a depends, but you get a pen because you're extending the promotion window screen. Our window is actually coming from motion.
Yeah, that's, and so you'll be adding the other things underneath it as subviews. So you'll do an add subview. Okay, so you specify the style sheet.
To oh, there's a
I think you only need the promotion delegate if you're going to use the white potion. You know,
we don't really have that.
start style. You know, the onload and so forth like that.
Which we could, except that we want to immediately set up our status bar here.
Yeah, yeah.
It's going to be a different approach. So, yeah, that's a subview of our label.
Because something is in the framework doesn't necessarily mean that you have to use it, right?
Right.
See, so in this example, they're appending a whole bunch of micro views to the window, but it might make more sense if you use some sort of a collection. You know, so for instance, if you looked at your noise generator, they've probably got some sort of a collection view. You know, an NS collection view, if I remember correctly. Yeah, not NS text.
Is that the one I want?
No. You might do just an NS text view, which you can then set the text in. That's one of the differences is, and now correct me if I get this wrong because I'm not as familiar with the iOS ones. In iOS, there's both labels and text, and the text is an input field, right? Whereas in the Mac space, there's just text views. And there's text views that you use as labels, and there's, as you turn off the input on using them, it's more antiquated. It comes from Next Step, which is, what, 30 years old now?
With there are UI labels, which are usually like a single line of text, and then on for Mac, or I mean, a block of text would be a UI text.
Yeah.
And then for desktop, we've got.
Yeah, so you use NS Text View for all of these, and the standard is init with frame.
It looks like initializer for this is init with frame. With frame.
Did I get that right?
It's going to be one of those arrays 008 for the origin and
size.
200 width and height.
Field. NS Text Field, I'm sorry. NS Text Field is the simple one. NX Text View is for a larger, where you embed the text within it. I'm sorry.
Well, I just wanted to display some text on the screen.
NS Text Field is the simple one. And the way that you make it only display is by turning it to editable equals false.
So for look at this example to see what it's doing. It's text field.
That's part of
Not sure. These are if we look at the White Potion implementation of that styler, RubyMotion Query, RMQ, stylers, S,
Text field styler.
stylers, so Oops. This label, it takes that view and sets editable equals false. Text must be the same name of the method. So
I think it might be not text, but string value, but
Yeah.
I'm just compiling all of the white question. I'm putting with the text. So it's string value.
yeah. String
Capital V.
value, yeah. I just looked up an example.
Sometimes the documentation is helpful. And
API is good when you have an idea of what you're looking for and you just want, you know, exact names in that. But if you actually want an example of how to use something, the API reference sucks. What they really lack is a good reference manual, not API, but just like all the how-tos. And, you know, they have some of it for the really complicated stuff, but somehow they kind of left the really, really basic stuff out.
so I assumed that I could add subviews to this because of the name of the variable is window, but the assumption appears to be wrong. Panel. And
It's an NS panel?
Yeah.
there's a content view.
Ah. Wait. Self-dump.
I think background.
I used NS panels for something. I thought that was another view. No, it's a form of a window.
Add the subview to the window, which is actually.
Yeah, so you have to set the content view. Okay.
Content view is that background. That's running. Hey, look at that.
There you go.
Hello, Andrew. And that's different about iOS development and Mac development is 0.0.
Yeah, it's someplace else.
It's in the other corner.
iOS
Yeah.
but on Mac, it's at the bottom left. So that's the reason why I positioned it down at the bottom here. The bottom of the panel is wide, 200 tall. And we have I'm missing our rounded corners, probably because we're too close to the edge. Yeah, which makes me wonder, how am I supposed to position this at the top of my panel? How tall it is?
Yeah, either by, well, and subtracting the height of the thing that you're putting in, right? Because if you push it all the way to the top, that's the bottom left corner of
Right.
the bottom left, or is it top? Oh, geez.
I think it's the bottom left corner.
I'm not sure, to tell you the truth. I've normally just play when I'm doing fixed positioning. I've been playing with it, or I've been using
Yeah, so put that at
auto
200.
layout. So I tie it to the top, and then I put the things underneath it.
Because our field is 200 pixels point high, and the
And you're
positioning it-
starting it at the 200 now. If you started at the 400 and you're 200 high, you were going up from there, and which is like off the screen.
So now we should be basically starting halfway through between the top and the bottom, drawing up from the bottom of the view. There it is.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Mhm.
So that line partway through is the bottom of the text field.
And the top edge is like overwriting the bounds of the pop-up panel. Anyway, cool.
Well, we can continue on this, or we can switch gears to talk about
I had a question I was going to ask in the Slack, but I might as well just ask here. I was just trying to play around with Flow the other day, and eventually figured out how to build stuff and was running the tests, and I was good until I got to the part where I was trying to run the Android tests, and it wants me to have an Android phone plugged in. Is it not possible to run those against like the GenyMotion simulator?
I've run them against the GenyMotion simulator.
Okay. I will screw around and see if I can figure out how to do that.
I can't remember exactly what I did, but once I worked out the issues with getting the simulator to the GenyMotion emulator up and running.
I think there's an architecture issue, and yeah. I just remember messing around with the Flow app for my demo back in November. So
How does the simulator, how well does it work? Everything that I had heard had said that you're really best to actually use a real device.
okay, if you're talking about the Android emulator, that sucks.
That's what I had heard.
Yeah. So, but the GenyMotion thing, now that's a whole different product, and it's really good.
Okay.
And I only found out about that because I worked with a guy who was an Android developer, and he told me.
In my experience, it was I think you had to make sure that you matched up that your image or the device you're trying to imitate is running the same API version that you're targeting. So once I realized I had to get those in sync, that solved the issue for me. And I think that the flow example or whatever, there are a few versions behind or something. There's some issue there that needs to be worked out.
Okay.
How are you finding flow, Lori?
Well, like I said, I've mostly just been playing around with it. I did a demo for the local Ruby user group, and that turned out pretty well once I worked through all those weird little things. It is kind of cool when you can just run it and it comes popping up in both the Android and the iOS simulator and doing the same thing at the same time. That's really cool. But I haven't really done a lot because my main use case for what I wanted to use it for is a map-centric application, and I think that's like issue number 2 or something in the Flow repo is that, oh, we need a map UI, and they don't have it. So.
Motion.
That's probably a big important. Are between the Android and iOS map.
Oh.
Well, yeah, if it's going to run on Android, it's going to have to use Google Maps and hopefully using the map kit on iOS. But anyway, there's a whole discussion of it in this issue against the Flow library. And you know, it all totally makes sense. They want to be able to flip around and use Google or Apple Maps on iOS, and Google Maps for Android, of course. And of course, make sure that it's optional, because in both those cases, they're kind of a large chunk to bring in if you don't want to use a map. So.
Yeah.
I agree, it would be a lot of work. Put it low for a year.
Yeah.
6 months.
I think one problem is that Flow started out where it was a require everything type of project, where you just require Flow, and then everything that it comes with, you are basically required to have bundled into your project, even if you're not using it all. One thing that I implemented down here, this open pull request that hasn't been merged yet.
Really?
To basically modularize the libraries so that you can just require the libraries that you want and not have to require all of them. Because some of the libraries depend on some of the other internal libraries. Example of it in here somewhere. Like the net library requires base64 and JSON, and for it all work properly. The rest of them are mostly self-contained, but anyway, we wanted to be able to like use Motion Flow net library in the Motion game framework, so you can make API requests within your Motion game code base without having the stuff that you weren't going to use.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And I was just, you know, thinking that it needed to work along the lines of like the Bubble wrap, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you didn't have to use.
Yeah.
I think what Sugar Cube did that too, where it was all modularized, so you didn't have to use everything. So yeah, it makes total sense. I don't know. You want me to open a bug report, make them pay attention to your PR?
Well, to merge it myself if I want to, but I guess I was hoping for more peer review before I thumbs up, but yeah, the other one's Lori and Steve. Third one, so.
We have a consensus.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty quick attempt at trying to just get this to work, so I'm not myself that maybe we should merge it. The other thing, I guess,
hopefully it doesn't cause anything that they're using it for to. I mean, obviously, I think HipByte must have created Flow because they probably have some customers of their own that they needed to do some work for, and they were finding that that was the way that they wanted to go. But you know, hopefully they could try it out and make sure that you know, modularizing it like that still work for them, and they could push it forward. How long ago did you submit it?
Quite a while.
Okay. September.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that they have written a few apps using Flow. What is that? It seems like maybe they just wrote enough to get what they needed.
Well, you know, if the Travis build works, and
Assuming that there are tests.
yes, well, I guess that's the thing. If there were tests that somehow showed how this was working, maybe they'd feel more comfortable with it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that might be like they look at it and go, I wonder if this is going to break anything. Oh, I'll just leave it. That's an easy thing to do.
It hasn't been nice to see a lot of activity in Motion Game. It's fun playing around with Motion Game lately.
Deals that I start working on that again. So,
Yeah.
So.
There was somebody in my my local Ruby group that said they were using Motion Game for something. Can't remember what now.
So you, Andrew, sorry,
Yeah.
Andrew, did you get this? Did you publish this?
No, yet.
Okay.
It's pretty close, though.
Okay.
Essentially, I've translated a lot of the original TurboLinks in Swift and converted it to RubyMotion. So now there's a bunch of code that's Swift code has just been translated. And now it's been packaged into a gem here. So then in our Motion TurboLinks demo, we just required this Motion TurboLinks in our app delegate. get moved into the gem, but essentially our application didn't finish launching. Setting up a navigation controller, setting the root view controller as our navigation controller. This TurboLink session. So starting this session is the piece of this, which and then we call start application after that, which a visitable, which is basically a web view for the session, which is running on 9292. So I started up this demo server tab, and now the application is running. So when we hit when we open it up, we fire off a session visit to localhost 9292. A series of steps of getting session visit will start, setting up will show up in, goes through a lot of interesting stuff where it flashed a screenshot of that. It will present a screenshot while it's loading the data behind the scenes. And, so then we end up with a screen that looks like this. We've got a native navigation title bar up here. And then everything below it is basically a web view. And these are links within the web view. And if we click on one of these links, transition from this web view to the next web view. So it transitioned over and presented this other one, which made another, basically a request to another web page to present here. We can transition back and forth between these using native transitions. Slow here, so it's not giving the best effect, but you can you visit a slow load page, you see a link indicator. So it handles slow loading pages to give some sense that the UI is doing something, the user is waiting for something without just seeing a blank page. Error states. And messages from your JavaScript. So if you've got a web page that triggers some JavaScript that you want to display some alert or handle it within the native side, you can. During JavaScript alerts, basically there's an API and an API on the server side, a JavaScript API, I should say, that allows you to communicate back and forth if you want to. It's optional. The main benefit of this is your application, your mobile web app, basically, and then you come across an area where you want to implement it natively. Instead of having to implement the whole app in native code, you can just implement a portion of it. Click this link, it's going to crash. This is supposed to load a native view controller. I haven't implemented this part yet. Yes, what's your question?
The JavaScript portion. With tvOS to talk to the JavaScript that's running on tvOS for to work where I could send a message to JavaScript from Ruby, but not vice versa. It's implement a protocol, but maybe it's protocol. I don't know, some weird structure in the code that Ruby didn't support. Related at all, or is it?
I'm not sure. I know that handling different types of things you can do. Packaged as part of this Motion TurboLinks gem is this WebView.js resource that gets loaded on the page to provide that API. If this is to talk to the iOS app or if it's to talk to the...
They load that into the web view?
Yeah, this is loaded into the web view. I think that's so that your code can talk to it.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, the other... it's is it in the web view?
JavaScript. Right, so that's line 65.
Line 65. Uh-huh.
That's how I implemented talking to JavaScript from Ruby. That worked fine. Required sort of class to accept the message.
So this is called JavaScript function. This script to try this function expression with the encoded arguments. Some of the messages that you can, that are received from the JavaScript side, loaded, visit started, things. I'm familiar on
It's a very interesting project, and you know, Andrew, if you get a chance to put it up on GitHub or something, I know that I wouldn't mind trying to continue on with some of the conversions as long as that doesn't impact what you're doing with it. You know, and we might be able to push some of it a little bit more forward.
except for some parts where when demo example. So what the demo example had.
But I mean, even with the to-dos and the bunch of log statements and stuff like that, it's I know from the last session that we did, I found it an interesting exercise doing the conversion from Swift. Because even if they do get the Swift frameworks coming in, it's hard to say how long that'll take. But it would be interesting to push this along further.
Yeah. what I was trying to say was that I think it's could start being used. I think the last part of the demo is to native view controllers. And it's cleaning up and documenting it better. So I started just copying and pasting me. It needs to be converted from the original to like how to get it up and running in environment.
Yeah.
I don't do it a lot yet with my back-end Rails projects using TurboLinks, but you can see it being used more and more, especially with Rails 5 and stuff like that coming out. So, I mean, that's one of the handy things, I think, for those of us who are in RubyMotion is probably a large number of us are using Rails on, you know, server-side stuff for things, and being able to tie them together would be handy.
I think because Rails is the really useful thing to have in RubyMotion. Well, anybody anything for last? Somebody else have any questions? Anything on your mind?
Personally, I signed up while you were talking earlier for your home or not using company property. Next time.
Free version and paid version. One day I'll release one of my side projects to the App Store.
Yeah, I was so happy when I finally got one up there. It was
Wells
an
in My Backyard
embarrassment.
is up on the App Store, isn't it, Lori?
Yeah, Wells in My Backyard, Wimby is up there.
Okay.
It was. It is primarily a Canadian app, so it's just in the Canadian App Store.
I'm in Edmonton.
Oh, right. I forgot. So yeah, it's there, and so you can see all the abandoned oil and gas wells in Canada. Check them out. See if you got one in your backyard.
I don't think I'd have one in mine, but still, nonetheless,
Hey, you know what was really funny? I took that to a little local tech meetup here in Lethbridge, and I was showing a guy, and he was like, "Oh, let me see that." And he was zooming in on the west side of Lethbridge, and he's like, "Oh, wow, that house right there. There's a well right in the backyard." And I was, "Is that your house?" He goes, "No, but we put in an offer on the house beside it."
yeah. Well, I mean, they're all over the place, and they cap them when, you know. I did some projects for Alberta Energy, although it's like quite a while ago now. But so yeah, I
the ones that are a real problem are the ones that were, you know, abandoned back in the like 60s and earlier.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and they would dig them anywhere. So, but anyways, it's I should download that at some point. I haven't, but I should.
What? Yes, you should totally do it. I'll paste a link into the Slack.
Anybody else have any working on they want to share, or things they're stuck on?
It's not.
So,
Have you ever heard of Swappy? It's a Star Wars API. It's built in Flask. And they treated the game industry. I figured it might do something similar for games. And the amount of data scraping I have to do to actually set up. There's no fucking way to do that, man.
Wait, so what's the Star Wars thing? Yeah.
Just a giant read database for films, vehicles, species, characters, etc. If you hit like films 1, you'll get like the attributes in that table will have like IDs to characters that are in it, the opening crawl, and so forth,
Sure.
and just a bunch of stuff that the guy who wrote it default scrapes off of Wikipedia. Pretty interesting. He's got some nerdy stuff on there, like the credit value for sandcrawlers kind of thing.
Luke Skywalker, Species 1.
Well, there's a whole list of species there too.
For species, I think there's like around. Sure if
Cool.
Indexes.
Well, I know what my next course source material is going to use.
Some of the test automation here, we need to external data as part of the test process. So we'll rather build resources, just like see that. Half of our test code is stuff from like Faker's hipster module. Say
No, there was
smart. And a lot of new submodules to Faker lately. We got Star Wars, they got
So we need.
Game of Thrones. Like how it started.
Game of Thrones. That'd be good.
Like business data testing and data modeling. Test Star Wars.
I think, and
Okay.
thanks for joining, everybody. See
Yeah,
you next time.
thanks for doing the online thing. It's good.
Thank you
Thanks for
once
doing
again,
it.
Andrew. It was enjoyable. Thank you.
Bye.